Larry.
Larry.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Just
Good to see you again, Larry.
Just saw you on the Don Imus program.
Yeah, I went over there.
Very good.
Yeah, I went over there.
You got to lower your standards.
Yeah, of course. And so does Don.
Why?
Okay, goodbye.
I'm teasing, of course. I love Larry King.
We had a good time last time
yeah.
you were in here, Larry.
Yeah, I remember.
You know Jason Segel?
Hello, nice
You
to
wrote
meet you,
the
sir.
Muppet movie?
I did, yeah.
Wrote
You know,
and starred in.
You know, I knew Jim Henson
Wow.
real well.
You knew everybody.
I knew everybody.
Pretty much,
but,
yeah.
the Muppets twice hosted Larry King Live.
No way.
Kermit hosted it. In fact, you want a quick story? Funny radio's
Let her
TV
rip.
story? Okay. I don't know how this came about, but the Muppets were involved at the end. We had a guy that worked at CNN, a producer. He was a very nervous guy, just uptight, good producer, but everything. So we had CNN International set up a call that he would call, and he got a call from the CIA, a real guy at the CIA that we knew was a good friend, a guy, Marty West, I think was. He says, listen, I'm with the CIA, and can you come out and see me? And don't tell anyone you're coming.
Interesting.
He says, okay, I'll go. And he goes, he leaves, he drives up to McLean, Virginia. His name is down on the bottom. There really is this guy. He goes up to the 5th floor, goes in the guy's office. They lock the doors behind him. The door's shut. And he says, we're in a soundproof room. And what I'm saying to you is the first time that this information is leaving this building.
Oh, JFK stuff. Oh,
But
boy.
No. It ain't what you think. He says, 40 years ago, we captured 2 aliens. And they landed here in their spaceship, and they lived. And over the past 40 years, we've trained them in ways, and we've taught them to speak English. And we want to break this next Monday on Larry King Live. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, we think the Russians have a couple, and we want to get the beat on them. So you have to go back to your studio. Don't say anything to anyone, and you can start promoting it next Monday. We'll deliver the 2 aliens to your studio. The guy goes back. He can't say anything, right? He comes walking, and we all know about it. He's biting his lower lip. He goes and locks his office and bangs on the door. He's got the hottest thing in the history of television.
Of the world.
The world, we're going to have 2 aliens who've been taught to speak English. They look a little weird, but don't mind it. And the guys, the next night, our guests are the Muppets. And we tell
hilarious.
the Muppets this story, but the guy's going crazy, right? He's going to say. So Kermit opens up, the guy's underneath the floor with Kermit, and they open up the door, and Kermit just says, how the aliens doing?
Yeah.
Broke the guy's heart.
Yeah, he must have
Humiliating.
felt like an idiot.
That's amazing.
But they were great to work with. I loved working with them when you had them as guests. Jim Henson first, and then who replaced him?
Steve Whitmire became Kermit, yeah, who's a genius as well.
Because when you interviewed them, they're sitting down there
Yeah.
with the hand. So you're looking at Kermit, and you look down, you see him, and he's looking at a monitor. And in 2 minutes, he's Kermit. That's the truth.
Yeah.
In 2 minutes, the guy ain't there. Even though he's there.
Right.
You see his hand.
So who are you looking at? Are you
You're
looking
looking
at
at Kermit.
You're looking at the puppet.
Yeah,
You're
right
looking
in
at
the
the
eyes.
puppet. All you got to do is you lower your eye.
Right.
I mean,
You see the guy, but you're
yeah.
not focused on him.
But it was brilliant. Oh, Kermit hosted the show once, and they had me call in. I was out at the Barbara Sinatra Children's Center, and he hung up on me.
As well as he
He
should
wore
have.
those braces. Get him off. Get him off.
That's hilarious.
I could see Larry asking Kermit the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
I did.
Where you
I
weren't
was-
throwing softballs
I was
at him?
tough on Kermit.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, just so you know, I saw the new Muppets movie, and terrific. Jason did a great job with the whole
thank
thing.
you.
He
Thanks.
really did.
What, see, I'm back to interviewing mode.
Go.
What's the toughest job of making a movie when you got hands and guys running puppets?
I asked that already.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll give you the real answer.
Something inside said, why do I have to do this? 2 guys are freaks.
There's something about, like, you can imagine anything, and so you can imagine writing a scene where 10 full-body Muppets run away from an exploding building. I wrote that scene, and then we got there, and the director was like, well, how do you plan on doing this? I said, I didn't
But
think
you'd
that
figure
was
it
my
out, yeah.
job. I thought that was your job. So we had to rewrite the scene, and instead we just show half-body Muppets running away from behind, and then you hear an explosion, and Fozzie goes, "Wow, that was an expensive-looking explosion." That's how we handle problems like that.
Kind of a goof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. I
It worked.
remember that television show, The Muppet Show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was a guest once. Who was the bear?
Fozzie.
Fozzie. Well, Fozzie, I'm the guest of the day, on their show, and the whole scheme. I never got into the show because Fozzie, right?
Yeah.
He was outside manning the door. I come up and I said, "Hi, I'm on the show today. And what's your name?" Larry King. I got King Kong. I don't have any Larry King. I said, "But I'm on the show. I'm sorry, man. You ain't on the list." I never got in. That was the whole bit.
That was the whole gang.
This is why Larry King is great, though, because we're talking about the Muppets, and you walk in out of the blue with 15 minutes of great Muppet stories.
I know.
It's
It's all big.
He's got stories
Sell a
about
movie, Jason.
anything.
You've been around as long as I have, and to have known Jim Henson, he started in Washington,
Yeah.
D.C., and his first job, I think, as Kermit was he did breaks between shows.
Wow.
Kermit would come on and do like 2 minutes of break. You watch this, and now this is coming.
Wow.
And then he formed the whole Muppets, and he died terrible.
Yeah. That was a real tragedy.
A virus killed him in a weekend.
Yeah, that was fast.
He got it on Thursday. He was dead Sunday.
Damn.
He was healthy Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon.
That's
Hey,
scary stuff right
crazy.
Who
there.
would he pick up on Healthy Wednesday?
Well, no, I
like
didn't
that.
know if he was sick.
Yeah, he was healthy.
He was completely
Yeah.
healthy guy. Got this virus,
Yeah.
dead by
Well,
Sunday.
he didn't believe in antibiotics. It was a bacterial infection. And he
Oh,
didn't believe in
okay.
antibiotics.
At that point, you
Got
believe
him.
in that.
Bizarre,
stuff.
right?
Well, they're true.
Yeah.
Yes,
You can
they're not a
believe in
myth.
them.
They exist.
They're very
Yeah.
true.
They do
yes.
work.
Hey, can I tell you my favorite Larry King moment? Because I've always wanted to ask you about this. Was when you interviewed Brando, who to me was a really, really tough interview.
Oh, I loved him.
But you handled him
Well,
really,
it's
really
a great
well.
story, the Brando story. We get a call from CNN calls me. I was in L.A. and they said, "Listen, you're not going to believe this, but Marlon Brando's agreed to do your show. And it's the only show he'll do, and he's going to do it Friday night." And this was Tuesday, but he wants call.
Kermit to host.
Yes.
He wants to call you first. He wants to talk to you. And normally I didn't like that. I didn't like talking to guests before a show because I like everything cold. But it's Marlon Brando. So I was at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and the phone rings, and I pick up, "Hello," and he says, "Larry, it's Marlon." I swear to God, I said, "Marlon who?" and he innocently said, "Brando," because there was Marlon Fitzwater, who was the presidential press secretary. So he says, "Listen, I'd like to talk to you before we do this. I've agreed to do this. I'm going to send a car and come up to my house and have lunch." I said, "Okay." So I go downstairs. I'm waiting at the Wilshire entrance, and a car pulls up, and Brando's driving.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was just an ordinary Chevy. We get in the car, and we start driving around Beverly Hills, just driving, doing songs.
Wow.
He would do the first line, I would do the second line. Like he says, "Someday, when I'm awfully low," then I would have to do, "And the world was cold." And I'm driving around, I'm saying to myself, I'm driving around with my friend, singing songs in Beverly Hills. Then he says, "Well, what are we going to talk about?" I said, "Well, we'll talk about acting." Acting's easy. Acting's easy to talk about. Anybody could act. Talk about other things. Talk about architecture. Talk about life.
Architecture.
Oh, he was very interested in architecture. He was designing foolproof earthquake buildings.
Right for his floors.
So he said to me, he said, "I'll prove to you anyone can act." And he pulls over to the side of the road, and he looks at me and says, "Your brother died." And I said, "What?" And he says, "Now hold that what." That was a great what. That was a great what. Now, if we could put a camera on top of this car, dolly it into your face, when I say your brother died, you do that what? Supporting actor.
Wow.
So, he was just, I had a wonderful time with him. We were up at his
You were
house.
singing in the interview, too. I didn't realize
the
where
end
that
of
came
it,
from.
And then he kissed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Everyone
that
remembers
went
that.
viral around the world.
Oh,
It's
it's
been
famous.
shown. Last night they showed it. I got honored last night at the Friars here.
Nice.
And it was really
congrats.
nice.
Did Colin Quinn give you a beating? Because I saw Colin yesterday.
He was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fun. But when they put up the Brando thing, and I keep remembering, so I'm always asking, what was it like to be kissed? And what I say, I do a comedy act. I go around. In fact, let me get this mentioned.
Yes.
On February 2nd, I will be in Stamford, Connecticut at the Palace Theater. And on February 4th, I'll be at the Brooklyn Center for Performing Arts. I do 80 minutes tell stories.
Wow.
I just tell stories. I like making people laugh. I've been telling stories all my life. I was a class comic. So now that I don't have to work at CNN every night, I just like telling stories.
You're enjoying it, huh?
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
Good for you.
Enjoying it. So people say, one of the first questions they ask is, what was it like to be kissed? I take audience questions at the end. Kissed by Mauldin Brando. I said, well, I've never been kissed by a man in my life. I was raised, I'm heterosexual. I don't know why I'm heterosexual, by the way. I'm just heterosexual.
You're missing out, Larry.
Well, I don't mention that in San Francisco. Certain parts of Houston, anyway.
Houston, a hotbed of
I said,
activity.
but Brando kissed me, and I have to confess, I can't stop thinking about it. The other night, I woke up screaming Stella, and I don't know what to. And then he came on the show. This is funny. Now he comes on again a year later, and this time he's coming to the studio, and he was angry at something. He said, I want to come on.
Now he wants second base.
Now he comes on, and he's angry at Jews in Hollywood
What?
because they don't book enough minorities in movies. American Indians, Latinos don't get enough shots in movies. And he says, and the Jews, and he loved Jewish people. He loved Yiddish, and he loved but he said it wrong. He said, the Jews really control this industry.
Oh boy.
Didn't he say they don't Didn't he say they don't portray the kike? That was the big. Like he said that. He said that about like the stereotype of the Jew they don't portray as they do the Dago or this and that. And I think that was the
Lou
big
Wasserman
quote.
got mad at him, and he had to go visit Rabbi Weir.
Wow.
And apologize. All that. But the crazy thing about Brando, afterwards, he never goes out. So we finished the show, and I said, he said, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to this restaurant, busy restaurant. He says, I'll go with you. Okay, so he had his own car, and I had a car. So we drove to this restaurant. As soon as we got there, there's 8,000 paparazzi. This guy's up in trees. I don't know how they found out he was going. We just followed him. And in the restaurant, we had like 12 people having dinner.
Wow.
So he became like the 13th. Gloria Allred, Gloria Allred.
Oh, she's lovely.
Oh, lovely. Jumped on his lap.
Really?
Gloria Allred jumped on his lap. He was feeding people. He was and he was observing people. And I saw what made him a great actor. He said, I see the maitre d'. He's unhappy. And how can you tell? Look at the way he walks. Look at the way he's walking that guy at the table. See that little walk? He don't like it here. See that couple? They're going to break up. How do you know? He's looking at her, but not at her. He's looking a little over her shoulder. It's just the observation.
I wonder if he was right or he's just babbling.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if that's right.
But the
So I
proof
go
is he
back-
was so good, though, so he
Right,
must have had
right.
an intuition
Oh,
to people.
He was good at reading people, is what you're saying.
So I go to bed, and it's 2 a.m, and he calls up, and he says, hey, Larry, let's get down to Mexico. I got Sean Penn here. We'll fly down to Mexico, have some laughs. I'm a Jewish kid from Brooklyn. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. We the Jewish kids from Brooklyn do not fly down to Mexico. 2 o'clock. And he calls back. He says, Sean Penn, we can't go. Sean Penn don't have his passport. But he lived there. I went to his memorial service. It was a wonderful service. Carl Mauldin told stories about Brando. I genuinely liked him a lot.
Did
Carl
Carl
Mauldin.
Mauldin like him? Because I think Rod Steiger, and
Hated
and
him.
he did, right? Because
Mauldin liked him.
he hated Steiger, too. He thought he was a terrible actor.
Well, the problem with Steiger had is in one of the greatest scenes ever in On the Waterfront.
Right.
It's the scene in the back of the car.
Yeah.
When Brando says, I could have been somebody. He didn't say champion. I love that line. I could have been a contender. Mm-hmm. Didn't say champion. Could have been a contender. Charlie. Charlie was his brother. You let me down, Charlie. You let me down. And Steiger would answer back to him sitting in the back of the car. And what Steiger got pissed at was when Brando did his lines, Steiger fed him the lines back, and they do the 2-shot thing, right? When Steiger did his lines, Brando didn't sit there.
Oh, he didn't do this off camera.
No, someone else threw the lines out.
Well, Jay
shit.
Moore told the story that he
Steiger
heard.
never forgot that.
Was
Wow.
that what Brando I heard didn't like Steiger, and he said he used. There's a moment where he goes, "Oh, Charlie," and they said that Brando said his motivation for that moment was how horrible he thought Steiger's acting was. Like that was what he
Oh, wow.
motivated him. He thought he was terrible.
He liked Carl Mauldin. Mauldin didn't like him, loved him.
Really?
Loved Mauldin. Tells stories about Streetcar. which made Mauldin famous, was Streetcar on Broadway, and Mauldin, of course, was the best friend. There was a scene once they're sitting at the breakfast table on stage, and Mauldin put his hands under the leg and did those 2 fingers in the top of the knee. You ever had that done to you?
Yeah.
You can't not jump through the ceiling. Huh? And Brando put a cigarette out in Mauldin's hand. And they kept on talking.
That's
They kept on.
Wow.
And neither one of them broke.
Neither broke. Wow. That's good. Marlon had one scene where he walks on stage and it ain't his scene. He just came on stage and the actors are talking, so all he did was say, "Stella, you got a cigarette?" And he took the cigarette and walked away.
That's great.
Wow. You know, he was in
set of
another room.
balls.
Do you think? What do you think that is? Just to kind of keep everybody alert and keep it real?
I think he was just, he rewrote, when I talked to, I don't want to name drop, Al Pacino's become a great friend of mine. And I talked to Al a lot about acting. He has great acting stories. Al.
What's he been in?
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's in this new one.
The Adam Sandler one. That's supposed to make him famous. I don't know.
He chases the girl.
Yeah.
He said he loved that script. And Al's a great, but when Al talks about Marlon, when he did Godfather, Marlon made him nervous. Marlon had to talk to him because he made him nervous being around him. You know, he actually physically, it was so imposing. It was so scary. And this was Al's first. He only had made one movie.
Panic in Needle Park. Yeah.
Panic, and now he was doing this.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
gotta
Brando-
be intimidating.
Right.
Because he had such a weird way, it seemed, of talking about actors. Like, anybody can act. Like, he was
Yeah,
so
he didn't-
dismissive of this thing that they make so
He
big.
made actors mad. Jane Fonda got very mad at him for dismissing acting. He says, well, he'd rather read the play.
He said that.
Why don't you just read the play?
Dude, I cannot get enough of Marlon Brando's shit-talking stories. They're the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
He's the greatest. The dismissiveness that he
Yeah.
But he did his own makeup that night at the house. He served wine to the whole crew. We had a big crew up there, the cameramen. He had hors d'oeuvres.
What an eclectic gentleman.
Oh, he was a wonderful, wonderful host.
Yeah.
He was a great dancer.
Really?
Oh, could he move around? He was a dancer. He came to New York as a dancer from Omaha with a dance troupe. And then he got into the acting school here.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then he invented
Larry,
method.
they're telling us you got a heart out.
at age
Wow.
25.
You got a busy day, huh?
Yeah, Larry's busy today.
They're telling us. We would love to have
we
you.
don't want
stay.
you out. We want you here.
I got to go do a show called The Chew.
The Chew?
It's a television show with Mario Bertaldi, the chef.
All right.
Oh.
It's on
I
ABC.
was an Asian.
I don't know how to make it English.
Let me.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I want to
man.
plug you,
You sure it
Dave,
wasn't
too.
the Jew?
I was just thinking of that.
Can I ask Larry a quick question?
Keep it up. Keep it up. This is
teasing with you,
anti-Semitic. That was anti-Semitic.
No, it wasn't.
I take that
You're
personal.
Jewish, and you would be on the show called The Jew.
All right, let me tell you where I'm doing my show.
Larry's done with
You want me to do this? I can do this.
Do you have more free
That's amazing.
time doing
Yeah, I
this
do.
than you did with
But I've
CNN?
been
And
speaking. The weird part, I got to run. But I've been speaking
Yeah.
all over the world. And I've been in Kazakhstan,
Wow.
Slovakia, Moscow, Portugal, Korea, Mexico City,
Jersey?
and
Maybe
Jersey's harder to get to.
more dangerous.
No kidding. Right after Thanksgiving, I'm speaking in Kiev. I'm big in Kiev.
I love their chicken.
Well, it's downtown. Downtown
Kiev.
They love it.
You're happening.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, but we ran out of time.
Well, quick, I'll
maybe
go.
a quick question. Were you ever nervous on CNN interviewing somebody?
No.
You never
The
got
only
nervous?
time I was ever nervous was my first day on the air. And all I did was admit it.
But no one.
I said it was my first day on the air. I was never nervous again because
You owned it.
I realized that that old cliche, it ain't brain surgery. It's true.
Right.
This is what
is
we're
easy.
doing now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to break this to you.
Yeah.
This
is
nothing
nothing?
will happen with
No,
this.
this is not
This will
This
go
is what
into
it
the
is.
atmosphere and be gone.
brain
Right?
surgery. This isn't even clipping a cuticle.
There was
This
a
is-
great
this is
cartoon in
nothing.
the New Yorker once of doctors in an operating room, and the guy with the skull, and they're about to do brain surgery, and one doctor says to the other, It ain't television.
New
Thanks,
Yorker.
guys. I'll see you
Larry,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
Larry
to meet you,
King.
sir.
Can't wait to
A
see the
Ziggy.
movie.
Thank you.
When
It's
does
a
it
pleasure.
open?
It opens the day before Thanksgiving.
It'll do no business.
Yes,
It's gonna
exactly.
be it's gonna be a monster movie for
Thanks,
Jason.
guys.
Larry, thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other anti-Semitic remark?
No anti-Semitism. It's all in
Just
good
did all
fun.
the rap openings.
Yeah. All right, Larry and
all in
Jimmy
good
getting
fun.
a picture. Did we get a picture last time?
Oh, I got last time, yeah.
Did we get a picture?
I
last
got
time?
my Larry
I
King
gotta make sure I get my Larry King
Bob
picture.
Costas with his head.
photo. Oh, yeah.
You had a good interview last night, Larry. You'd be proud.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Take care, Larry.
Beat it. Let's get
Larry.